Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pokesports, a competitive Pokemon podcast. I'm Mike, and I play with one Pokemon on the field.
I'm Kevin. I have 2 Pokeballs in my pocket.
Or are you just happy to see me? Kevin, how you doing? How's your week?
I'm all right.
Oh,
Busy week. 4th of July week. I work retail.
right.
Subscribe to the podcast so I can stop working retail.
That's
We're
the
starting
goal.
off real quick. We're starting off real quick with the, hey, you didn't get this far in this episode, but just subscribe.
Getting to the shilling real quick. There you go. I hope everybody's having a good week, whether you're in Canada or you're in the US or you're in the UK or in Ireland or underneath a rock in any place around the world. Happy Canada Day / not Canada Day / 4th of July. Are there a lot of fireworks in your area?
There have been fireworks going off at 9 p.m. every single day for the last 2 months because they just legalized it in my state.
That's when we record.
Yeah.
Tell them to stop. Tell them to get on twitch.tv / Pokesports.
Well, that's true. They should be inside, not trying to set the sky on fire.
Well, I mean, not gonna lie. Don't set the sky on fire.
There was a lot yesterday. Today, not so bad. I think people finally used them all up yesterday.
Well, I mean, if people are setting off fireworks, it's probably because it's National Bikini Day. So a happy National Bikini Day to everybody here on Sunday, July 5th. Get out your favorite low coverage swimwear and get some sunscreen on because it's about that time.
Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Oh my God, Kevin. Is this why you put it? Is this why you put it down on the notes here?
It was the most appropriate one, actually, believe it or not. There was 3 options. National Bikini Day was the most appropriate one for a podcast.
Fair enough. Good for you. If you're listening to this on Wednesday, July 8th, it is National Video Game Day. Not necessarily the anniversary of the first Pokemon game as I have up on the screen over here, but definitely a day to be playing video games.
Hey, we play video games.
Like whatever that Bikini Bottom one that you have is.
SpongeBob. Do they have SpongeBob in Canada?
Do they have SpongeBob in Canada? I'm pretty sure that the voice actor for SpongeBob is Canadian.
SpongeBob's not real?
All the best people are. No. SpongeBob is real. It's just like there's a little guy inside him. Like they're robot suits.
Oh, and that one is Canadian.
Yes. Correct.
Pokesports lore is developing here.
Pokesports lore is developing, much like whatever is behind my closet door over there.
What is in Mike's closet? Let us know. Anywhere that we are. What
is inside the closet? I have just confirmed for you. I've given you a little hint that it is, in fact, a closet. But there's something very special about it, and there's something very special inside of it. So if you want to see what that is, that's, of course, when we hit 10,000 subscribers at YouTube, because that's, for some reason, what we arbitrarily decided. So, Kevin, this week has been a week. It's been a week in Pokemon. It's been a week in Pokesports, and we've got a lot to get through. So are you ready to go for it?
Absolutely.
Okay. So listen up. This week, we have finally heard news for VGC 2021. The heavens have opened up. The clouds have parted. Light has shone through, and they have come with information on when we can go back and what it's going to look like. Kevin, tell us all about it.
So the biggest thing from this announcement is that we were confirmed that they are making plans for a return to live events, which is super big because, online tournaments are fun and all, but there's nothing like crushing your opponent's dreams right in front of them. And on top of that, yeah, they also did confirm that it is going to take place in London in August 2021. So it's the exact same place it would have happened this year. Actually, a lot of the information that I am going to let you guys know are essentially feels like they're combining what would have been this year with what is next year, because the age divisions will remain the same as the 2020 season.
Oh.
Yeah, that means if you were a senior for 2020 and you would have been a master the next year, you're actually going to remain a senior for 2021.
Whoa.
Which I think makes sense because they with this next rule that I'm going to talk about, the CP rule, all the CP rolls over. So if you got 400 CP in seniors, that's kind of broken when the next year you're going to join in masters with 400 CP, because arguably it should be harder to get 400 CP in masters than it is in seniors.
So are you essentially saying that we're going to see a lot more of the like younger generation in the masters division, like in the masters division in worlds?
No,
or do I have this backwards? Are they staying in seniors? The seniors are staying in seniors. Okay.
Yeah, they're staying in seniors, or else the CP wouldn't transfer over fairly.
Right.
But another big news is that there is going to be a 4 days of Worlds this year. That's the first time ever that they had 4 days of Worlds. So that means Thursday is actually going to be included too. So, Mike, we're going to have a long weekend.
It's going to be an extra day of work to take off. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. And there's also 2 CP qualification bars. If you guys are unaware with what CP is, it's pretty much the championship points that you need in order to qualify for Worlds. You gain these by winning competitions, et cetera, et cetera. So the two qualification bars are there are players who qualified for previous Worlds and are still qualified for 2021. So say you qualified for 2020 and you don't get any extra points that you need in order to qualify for 2021, those players will automatically go to Thursday.
Right.
Then there are people who reach the new CP bar that has not been set yet in 2020. Those players skip the Thursday and just play the Friday. So you skip a whole day. It's nice because people that had their CP before don't lose it, but they do have to play an extra day compared to those that are still playing in this season and are trying to reach that new CP cap, just so they can skip a whole day and just progress farther in the tournament.
Wow. And then on top of that, we're getting open qualifiers, right?
No.
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 Oh, I wish, right? Can you imagine? Like we just extend the tournament to like 6-7 days just to add in for time for open qualify. I don't think any esports tournaments are going to have open qualifiers in the next little bit, just because everybody is trying to catch up on getting their actual players playing.
I think they probably don't want that many people in a room anymore.
That too. You don't want to be the person who sets off like wave 2, wave 3 by that point.
What I do hope is that a couple years back there was a little bit of a fiasco.
Oh no.
I don't know if we should talk about it.
Tell me.
It involved someone bringing weapons to a Pokemon event.
No.
And what they did is they canceled all spectators for that whole year and that whole series. They eventually brought it back, but only as a paid spectator.
Man, we can't have nice things sometimes, man. Jeez.
Yeah, and there's like super heavy security now.
Yeah.
With like metal detectors and fun stuff.
Oh man.
I hope they don't just decide to cancel spectators. That would kind of not be that fun. Because I highly doubt I'll make it in, but we can only hope.
Well, I mean, hey, like you do well enough in the Players Cup, and just maybe.
Yeah, I can't
wait for this, by the way. I can't wait for Players Cup. That's going to be so fun. Just watching you.
I'm so nervous, but I'll do fine.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Okay. Well, dang. Are there any other points for the VGC 2021?
That is all they gave us. They're going to reveal more stuff later in the future, but it's nice knowing that they're working towards live events happening again.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yes.
And at least we have a confirmed date. Well, not confirmed date, but confirmed time frame and confirmed location.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, there it is. So VGC 2021. Now, of course, it is the beginning of a new month. We are now in July. Series 5 is officially upon us. We've been playing our games, and Pikalytics has its updated usage stats for Series 5 Isle of Armor. So let's take a look at those. The top 5, a little bit different than usual, but some very similar culprits. Number 1, you've got Rillaboom. Number 2, Togekiss. Number 3, Incineroar. Number 4, Cinderace. And number 5, Porygon 2. Hey, Kevin, you remember Dragapult?
What's that?
Yeah, right? Remember Tyranitar?
Huh?
You remember Whimsicott?
A what?
What? Whimsa who? A Whimsicott? Where's Cut? They're all in exactly. They're all in the top 10 now. So they're fallen by the wayside, but kind of not really. Through playing my games, like they are still everywhere. Just definitely not as much as like Rillaboom, Togekiss, even Incineroar.
You remember that dog Arcanine and how it was beating Incineroar? What's going on here? Right? Guess
Where
what?
did Arcanine go?
Expanding Force came out, so Arcanine became the worst one real quick. Shot Incineroar right up to 28% usage.
Yeah, really. Speaking of expanding Force, Indeed's, both of them actually are making a big rise. Female more often than male, specifically because female likes to do the follow me stuff with all the trick room that we're seeing in Series 5. Because Dusclops is obviously within the top 10 as well. So, oh man. VGC right now it's fun for me because it seems new and it seems fresh, but already playing probably upwards of 40 or 50 games this week in Series 5. I'm seeing a lot of the same stuff.
And meta's forming.
Yeah, the meta
slowly but surely
is solidifying. Yeah. In Smogon news, I'm going to have to take a big, deep breath for Smogon news today. So listen, Smogon news, beginning of the month, same kind of thing. We have our changes and our tiering. And so, yeah, let's take a look at that. So in Smogon, the tiers, UU this month, I'm just going to say this up front, is going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be a very interesting month for UU. Starting with Chansey has actually exited UUBL to OU. So we get absolutely no more Chansey in UU. But it's gone, like we talked about this last week, how it left, like, what was it, RU? Something like that for UUBL. Then it left UU to UUBL. So Chansey is like way up there now. They love Chansey. Teleport, man. Teleport.
Yeah, that teleport strat, that blew my mind last week. I never even considered that.
Yeah, really. Pelipper has gone up from UU to OU, specifically because of rain teams. Rain teams are really bringing it back. Some people thought that like Politoed was going to be the biggest answer, and now they're like, oh, you know what? You can actually do some things with Pelipper that Politoed can't do. So they're tossing that back on. And speaking of tossing it back on, hey, look at Rillaboom up from RU to OU, just skyrockets right up the tiering list. Then of course we've got a bunch of other additions to UU like NDD Barraskewda, Snorlax, Copperajah, Steelix, Scyther leaves NUBL to UU. Lots of big risers, and I've got all of the other ones on the screen over here that you can go and check out. But one thing that I didn't actually see a lot of this week was changes to Silvally. They finally stopped. Yeah. They finally stopped putting Silvally different elements in different corners. They rose like Silvally Rock from ZU to PU, but apart from that, it's nothing. Now, in terms of drops, so for drops, not a ton into UUBL. Of course, the beginning of Series 5 and lots of things, lots of new moves, gotten a lot of Pokemon moving, but we've got Gengar, Alolan Ninetales, and Primarina moving from OU to UUBL. Just not as good as they once were. And that is all. That's all of the changes. We don't have any more. I'm just kidding. Kevin, we have quite a lot of changes. Again, as I said, UU is going to be a crazy, crazy month. And so for all of the changes that we have to do, look at all of these. So this month, we've actually had a lot of Pokemon ousted from OU to UU in Smogon, so much so that I thought it would be weird for me to just kind of go and list them out. So I thought I'd put together a little thing, a little ditty to help you understand. So welcome everybody to the Smogon Poke Rap. You just do the singing. I'll take care of the hard part. Let's get it on. To be the best for at least this month, to tear down the rest. That's what Smogon wants. Blissey, Crawdon, Coister, Starmie, Comfy, Drudagon, Explodger, Galgy, Grimmsnarl, Hatterene, Heracross, Sharpedo, Kyurem, Jirachi, Galarian, Slow.
Gotta drop them all, gotta drop them all.
Yeah.
Gotta drop them all, gotta drop them all.
So there's that.
Gotta drop them all, Smogon.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
Hey.
Counter, Tentacruel, Lycanroc, Mimikyu, Aegislash, Klefki, Palisand, Poliwrath, Scolipede, Seismitoad, Skarmory, Slowking, Mindfu, Talonflame, Terrakion, Tyranitar, Zoroark, and Porygon Z. So,
Drop them,
That was
gotta
something.
drop them all.
gotta drop 'em all, Smogon.
Gotta drop them all.
Gotta drop 'em all, Smogon.
Gotta drop them all.
Gotta drop 'em all, Smogon. Bang! So Blissey's down into UU now, so that's something. What up, Kevin? How you doing?
I'm phenomenal. Did you have a stroke?
I did. Anyway, so lots of tier changes for UU is basically what I've been meaning to say.
Multiple.
Kevin doesn't know how to follow that up. Smogon.
There's 1 on the field.
There's 7 on the field.
I hope you don't play sword. Because I play shield.
Oh.
Where's my
Kevin dropping bars right now. Hey, you know what? Let me transition out of that into some esports news, because we've got actually a lot more to do. So Kevin, I'm going to need you to focus up real quick.
I got this.
Cool.
What are we doing?
So listen, this month we're doing something a little bit different on the Patreon. We are going to be starting up the Pokesports League, and people who've been on the Discord or on the Patreon already might already know about this. But essentially, the way that we're going to be doing monthly tournaments for the next little while, people are going to be separated into groups. They're going to be playing best of 3s with the people in their groups, and they're going to get points for the amount of times that they win. Basically, the structure that we're going to have is for the first 2 months. We're going to have signups for week 3.
He means weeks.
Excuse me?
You said first 2 months.
Oh my gosh. For the first 2 weeks, we're going to have signups. For the third week, we're going to have the battles. And then for the fourth week, the last week, we're going to have the finals. I'm going to let everybody know on the first podcast of the month when it's going to be dropping. It's going to be available to patrons at any level, and signups are going to go this month until July 10th. So if you're listening to this on Wednesday, you can still go to patreon.com/Pokesports podcast and go and check that out there.
There's a
It's gonna be
post.
fun.
You can click it.
Yeah, there is already a post for that, and you just need to go to your polling or whatever to go and sign up. All right.
There will be rewards.
Yeah. And with that, I am going to go pat myself down with a towel to get rid of all of the stress sweat. And when we come back, we're going to be talking a little bit about playing in best of 3s. We're going to be talking a little bit about prepping for the Players Cup, because Kevin, that's coming up soon for you, and so much more. We're going to do that when we come back from the break. We'll see you in a bit.
Everything got kicked out of OU. Real
Everything. Yeah, right? What's OU right now?
I think, what is that? Because whenever there's new Pokemon, they just stick it in OU for now.
Yeah.
And then wait until the month's over and then figure it out from there.
Yeah. But there were a lot of Pokemon that were already in there that got, shot out. Crawdon, Grimmsnarl, Hatterene, oof.
Aegislash.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one.
Big stuff.
That
big
used
stuff.
to be Ubers.
Used to be, right? There was a time where Aegislash was big man on campus, and then not as much now. So, Kevin, this upcoming weekend is the Players Cup. Am I right?
Yes,
Oh.
it is day one.
All right. Tell me about that. How's that going?
So last week we lied to you guys. We said that you weren't able to stream them, but apparently they just tweeted out today saying they are streamable.
Great.
So guess what I'll be doing? I will be streaming them.
Yay.
Saturday, July 11th, starting at noon Eastern Standard. The games don't actually start till 3:30, but from noon to 3:30, I'm just going to be on Battle Spot going ham and just getting as much warm-up matches as I can. Yeah, the more practice, the better. And at that point, all the teams are locked in, so people knowing my team will make a difference. I will be playing with a stream delay, though.
Of course.
Obvious reasons.
I think that anybody who is streaming that is going to be streaming it with a stream delay.
Yeah, so I won't be like too attentive on chat. For the first 3 hours, I'll be attentive because, you know, it won't be serious. But the second those serious battles hit, I'll be a little quiet. But you guys can talk all you want. It's fine. And later on, we do plan on post-comming some of those battles, at least the good ones, on YouTube. So keep an eye out there. But just to make sure you don't miss Saturday, July 11th, noon EST. Go and follow us on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, join our Discord. We'll be announcing it pretty much everywhere. You can't possibly miss it at that point, right?
Right. No, it's true.
But yeah.
Lots of good ways to go and see it. But in terms of prep work, what are you, well, look at the sweat there. In terms of prep work, what are you doing for that?
Prep? I started, okay, I guess I could talk about Durant. I started off with Durant and being like, okay, Durant can take over this, and this. And then I encountered something called Cinderace. So I had to prep for that because Cinderace is very scary. It's very popular. You pair it with a Whimsicott, you can't really counter that unless you have a bulky water type or something faster. Right. Which Durant is neither.
I mean, you don't have to tell me all about the team. I don't want you to spoil all of your...
No, Durant's not on the team anymore. I'm talking about like old team, just like what I went to get to where I am today. I'm not going to tell you where I am today, but yeah, I replaced Durant for a bulky water type. I'm including some Trick Room options. There are a couple of Trick Roomers around right now that are super prevalent that you guys should be familiar with, so it's no surprise there. I do have a couple of surprise mons. I'm not going full meta, so we'll see how this goes.
You never go full meta.
Nah, you can't, dude. Full meta never wins. They always get second.
No, obviously, yeah, for sure. Like the one that always wins is the one that goes like slightly counter meta. The one that can beat down most of the teams and then ekes out a win against the meta team that came top of the list. Yeah. So you can either be a very popular second, or you can be an even more popular first.
There's nothing but first here, Mike. We're going big or going home.
I think
what are the prizes? The prizes are
a key.
I think top 4 from, or maybe it's just top 4 gets paid travel to any event.
Probably
in the 2021 season. That sounds about right.
Yeah, no, that sounds pretty good. All right. And so one thing that a couple people have been asking for on the Discord, and one thing that people have been kind of clamoring for a little bit, has to do specifically with tournaments and specifically with things like the Players' Cup. Because most tournaments these days are actually structured in a best of 3 format, but not a lot of people know kind of how to navigate through best of 3s. And so what I thought and what we thought that we could do today is actually go and have a best of 3 on camera just while we sit and talk about it. So Kevin's got his Switch all set up. I've got my Switch all set up. If you're watching the video version, you're going to be able to see the entire battle in its entirety. But if you are not, and you're just listening, then we're gonna really try and talk through as much of it as we can, just so you get what you kind of need to. But these are the basic visual aids for this. So Kevin's going in with a team, I guess an older team because he's got that Durant on it. Is that right?
Yeah, this is what I originally had for the Players' Cup.
Okay, with Durant, Whimsicott, Incineroar, Togekiss, whatever that guy is. I forgot his name, Dracovish. Jeez, where did he go? Bye-bye, Mr. Fish, and Indeedee Mail. And then, of course, I've got my Cabalion team that Tofu and I made. So just randomly putting in Pokemon right now, like when you're going into your first match, sometimes you have kind of an educated guess on what the opponent is actually going to bring or how they're actually going to play, but sometimes not really.
Yeah, typically things that you want to look out for are fake out leads. Right now, terrain setters are very big that you have to look out for. Weather setters, trick room potential, common strategies like Mike's running beat up on multiple Pokemon. I could tell right now.
Just by looking
just
at
one.
it, with Whimsicott. Yeah. Whimsicott, you can use that beat up on Cobalion or on Dragapult to trigger the weakness policy.
Situations like that. Right now, there's a common imprisoned Trick Roomer in the Indeedee mail. There are a couple of things here and there, and you really only gain this knowledge by, one, playing a lot of battles, and two, watching a lot of people that play a lot of battles.
Right.
And then understanding what Pokemon do. Just gaining that experience.
Yeah. Actually, a fun thing that somebody just asked in the chat with regards to Cobalion is why specifically Cobalion, that it doesn't make a heck of a lot of sense. I mean, like between that and Terrakion, you can obviously bring the Terracotta combo, but Cobalion does have that steel typing, and that steel typing is really, really good, especially against things like Togekiss, who is, one of the top 5 Pokemon in the meta right now.
Mm-hmm. Now, Mike led with his Whimsicott and Cobalion, so that he has that beat up thing going on. I led with my Togekiss and my Durant, so a big thing that I wanted to do here is noticing the beat up to lead with the follow me, so I can at least redirect the beat up.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I just Dynamax this turn with the Durant.
Just kind of taking your time with it. But I mean, really, again, just for game 1, it's about sussing out what your opponent's going to do. It's about looking at common leads. It's about, just kind of seeing how your team can interact with the other one. So right now, what we're seeing is both sides are actually Dynamaxing. Kevin went for a follow me with his Togekiss, like you mentioned, but I'm actually planning on going for it anyway. Except, the follow me is actually going to completely ruin my beat up combo because it's bringing all the moves right on it. But I mean, on the other hand, it does mean that I've done some damage to the Togekiss. So if for whatever reason it is focus sashed, which it is not, then I
Durant went for the max quake on the Cobalion, takes it to about 30%.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually surprised that didn't KO. I'm a little sad.
Well, and then we've got Babiri.net opening up on the Togekiss. So the thing that teaches me for game 2 is if I were to run the exact same lead, would I go for that beat up on the first turn? Likely not, because I don't want that beat up to be redirected. Now, obviously, that's something that I'm not thinking about because I am also speaking, but it does kind of go to show that if you forget about certain things, then you don't have to worry about it so much the next time.
Now, this next turn's a big one. I could have gone for the Heat Wave, but I kind of opted for just follow me again on the off chance you still wanted to try to beat up. But no, Mike looks like he decided to go for the Tailwind just to get that usage out of the Whimsicott.
Yeah, that's just kind of how life goes sometimes. Sometimes you use up a Babiri early and you go
Togekiss
down in your
goes
next
the
turn.
Ground.
That's fine. See, but the nice thing about going for these double steel spikes, though, is that I do have the increased defense against his big bug. And so I almost lived a second max quake. Yes, Bidef is going to rise, and that's actually not going to be too great for me. Moving forward with what I have, because that is Indeedee, I believe, and Dragapult. Yeah. Actually, no, that's actually Serena. I thought that was Indeedee. It's not, but that actually helps me. And again, to be honest, I'm in a call with Kevin, obviously. It doesn't really matter too much that he knows what I have and his Incineroar has Intimidate. So there's a lot of things that I need to think about. And I think I'm going to be the kind of martyr for this game so that I can kind of explain how to do things differently in the next time. Again, as it goes with best of threes. I really want to keep the focus on best of threes. The things that we noticed in the first game influence the way that we're going to play in the second. That was a very lucky crit. Gonna have a good time once this Durant goes down, because I'm not a fan.
Maybe
Kevin.
one day.
Maybe
Not a
one
Rotom
day.
fan.
Not a Rotom fan. You know what? Turns out I'm not a Rotom fan. What are some things that you try to keep in mind of when you're ending your first game, Kevin, and you're going into your second in a best of three?
I try to, if it depends on whether it's a win or lose scenario. If I'm winning the game, I try to put myself in my opponent's shoes, and then from being in that position, thinking about what they're gonna bring in order to stop what I just did.
So what does that mean exactly?
Well, this next game, you're probably not gonna lead beat up, and if you are gonna bring it, or instead of going for beat up first turn, maybe you go for Tailwind so you can outspeed my Durant the second turn.
Mhm.
Just different situations like that. And trying to remember the rest of your team. Maybe in DD Mystical Fire would probably be more scary in that scenario too.
Mhm.
Or Serena can redirect. I'm giving you answers to beat me.
That's fine. We're not trying to be hyper competitive this time, Kevin. We're trying to. Kevin doesn't know how to turn it off.
How do I delete this part of my brain?
I don't want you to win. Yeah, and then Dracovish just in the back's going to come out and probably scarf. So here's actually another good thing about just letting a battle play out, because I know a lot of people are going to be tempted to just kind of run when here's a good thing, to just kind of run when they notice that something isn't going their way. But if you see what just happened here, Dracovish came out and it's sitting there and it's about to attack me. Even though it's so the fact that it is scarfed let me start that again. So it might actually be scarfed. The Dracovish may be scarfed because I do have Tailwind up and I do have my Dragapult up, and my Dragapult's super fast, and obviously Tailwind plus that equals I'm always faster. But there are situations, if that Tailwind wasn't up, that Dragapult may be able to, that Dracovish may be able to outspeed me. And so it would be imperative for me to kind of see if there's any kind of extra thing that my opponent can show or reveal for my next game.
Another question that I hear a lot is, how do I know when I should forfeit or play out a game? It's really up to you, because they each have their benefits. If you're in a spot where your Pokemon has a surprise move that you don't want your opponent to know about and you don't want to show it, then forfeiting is always better when you think it's in a guaranteed loss. But if there's a situation to where you're gonna lose game one, you really have nothing to hide. You're using a Dracovish. Everyone knows what move Dracovish has. You should play out that game, because your opponent might reveal something that you didn't know, so that you have more information the next game. It's game one is all about just gathering information, testing the waters, and game two is like when the actual game starts. Like, everything at that point, which is why a lot of VGC players will take notebooks, will take pens, and will sit there writing everything about your Pokemon when they happen.
So I will say, and I'm just going to assume that, Kevin, you're not going to change your play based on what I'm saying right now. So I'm going to give you a couple seconds to actually choose what you're going to do. But essentially, going into game two, if I go ahead and assume that same lead from my opponent, because my opponent is my opponent did win pretty handily, I need to make a major change, or else I'm not going to win. What did I experience that first time? I saw Durant, and what was the other Pokemon that came beside Durant that I killed pretty quick? Togekiss, of course. Togekiss with the follow me and nasty stuff like that. So I could actually, in this case, just go for Whimsicott to outspeed, or I don't even have to worry about outspeeding at all. I can just go for that Cobalion first, as well as Indeedee. And then do I even need to bring the Togekiss, I'm looking at his team, and he has the Dracovish, but I think my Dragapult might be able to do some okay work there. So Dragapult, and then maybe even just Serena, because Serena actually put in a little bit of work in that last game. I don't think Rotom actually makes a ton of sense here. Let's just go for Serena. I almost picked Rotom, but
you almost ran out of time.
That's fine. That's what I always do. I keep an eye on the time as I do.
I was getting ready to explain what happens when you run out of time.
What does happen when you run out of time?
It chooses top 4 automatically,
Oh,
so you might want to
gross.
have your best Pokemon at the top.
And you know why I
4.
asked that? Because I've never hit timer. I always try and cut it down. So leading with Durant and Whimsicott. So now actually I have to deal with things like Tailwind. But what I don't have to deal with is any kind of redirection. And that's it's again something that I learned in the first round is that Togekiss has a nasty habit of going follow me. So actually I can just go for a Steel Spike to go and soak some damage, and then go for a Mystical Fire to start damaging that Durant. Kevin, what do you think?
You said the word Mystical Fire. Now I'm terrified.
Yeah,
because I locked in my moves really quick.
but I'm not trying to. Yeah, go ahead.
I take everything competitively, Mike.
Oh my
It's
God,
the only
Kevin.
way.
I'm trying to be educational, and you're like, wait, let me take that lesson that you're saying.
I don't know. I had it all locked in, but like now I'm terrified. The one big thing, and like the biggest reason why I switched my leads up here, is just knowing that Mike struggled with the beat up, so he's probably not going to want to do it again. And then just trying to find another way to tolerate the Cobalion, because the Cobalion wasn't the problem. The Cobalion got him 2 KOs. So when a Pokemon does successfully, the opponent is probably going to bring it again. So better preparing for situations like that too.
Right.
So this turn, I opted for just going for the Helping Hand into a Max Quake, since I thought he wasn't going to bring the Tailwind, and hoping it's enough. Was it? I didn't actually look.
It's covering up the HP on the thing. That's what I'm looking at. And no, I don't think it did. No, it did. No.
Yes, and it was enough.
No. No. Oh God, please no.
I thought it was like 1 HP too. I was
Yeah,
all
it
scared. But
looked like it.
we both lost our Dynamax this first
That's
turn.
true.
That's all that happened.
That is true. And so again, like game 3, going into that exact same thing. 1, I'm pretty sure that he would bring the Togekiss. But 2, I do know that a Helping Hand plus a Max Quake equals 1 gone Cobalion. So not gonna want that anymore. Let's do this. So interesting thing about second game is the opponent has a chance, the winning opponent has the chance to bring in a completely new strategy and do something completely different. The fact that we've both lost our Dynamaxes right now is pretty terrifying.
We're back to baseline Pokemon.
Yeah.
Just so you guys know, right now Mike has a Dragapult and Indeedee male on the field, and I have a Whimsicott and Indeedee male on the field.
That's the scariest combination. Whimsicott and
I took
Indeedee.
this one out of your book.
How dare you?
I took that one out of your book.
How actually dare you?
I just
and then I go and
all
miss
of
a
Mike's
thunder.
attack.
But wow. Kevin, I'm not allowed to make moves. I'm actually not allowed to make moves right now.
I imprisoned Mike's whole moveset.
And do you want to know something? You want to know
set.
you want to know the worst part? Okay, so again, for all of you listeners out there, here's exactly what just happened. Kevin has an Indeedee with Imprison. His 4 moves are Imprison, Trick Room, Mystical Fire, and Expanding Force. I also have an Indeedee male that has Expanding Force, Trick Room, Mystical Fire, and Imprison. The exact same 4 moves. Kevin did this to mess with me, and I hate him for it because he just won't let me make a lesson. So listen.
That is a lesson.
That's the lesson for me, is not to trust Kevin. So what I just learned, and what I hope that you glean from this, is that if all of your moves are imprisoned and you hit fight, it will not go through to the move selection screen. What it'll do is immediately go for struggle.
It'll say, okay.
Wow, I
Oh,
actually
geez.
survived everything.
That's impressive.
My Serena came out, tanked a Moonblast, tanked a what was that? Expanding Force, and
Oh, geez, Triple Axel does so much.
still managed to take out the Whimsicott. Triple Axel does do a ton. Well, it's super
That
effective.
last hit did, like, the first two hits are kind of eh. But
Yeah.
that last hit, if it hits, oh geez, that was painful.
When it hits, because I have wide lens.
Oh. Well then,
I'm not gonna
gotta
bring
write that
out
down in my notebook.
yeah, really. Well, then that's another thing is really think about what your opponent's items could be here. I'm just gonna leave. I don't need to see an Indeedee expanding for like my set. This is my set, Kevin.
It's your Whimsicott.
This is my Whimsicott too.
It's a good set.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't you like seeing your set succeed, Mike?
I mean, yes,
There you go.
I do. So wait, that was actually a double win on your side. Okay, so lesson over. Thanks, Kevin.
Anytime.
Yeah, now you don't feel so great now, do you?
It's okay. You rap better than me, man.
That is fair. That is fair. So there you have it. There is the best of three mindset that we have. Now, one thing that we didn't really get into, thanks, Kevin, is what happens when you get to a game 3. So, Kevin, talk about it from the winner's perspective. I want you to kind of astral project now that we don't have a visual aid. Thanks, Kevin. What does it look like from the winner's side when you're going into game 3?
That sweat's making you a little salty there, Mike, huh?
Yeah.
When going to like a game 3, in terms of win one, lose one.
Yeah.
Game 3s are kind of nerve-wracking. That's when everything's on the line. Game 1s are kind of easy because you have a lot of wiggle room. But once you win game 1 and then your opponent takes game 2, then that's when you really sit up on your chair and pay a lot of attention, because that can make or break the whole set. And the fact that your opponent is able to take a win off of you means that they have what they need in order to take your team down, which means they can easily just do it again. But mindset there is typically what I like to do in game 3 is if I change my team up the second game, I go back to what worked. I play it super safe, because by winning game 1, you're able to be risky with your game 2.
Yeah.
By changing things up, trying to trip your opponent up and get a cheap win. But, if that doesn't work, you have to go back to what works and hope that your opponent doesn't realize you're doing that.
Oh, I totally agree. If you go and watch like any finals match over the next little while that or over the past little while that includes a loss on the second game and goes into a game 3, you're likely to see that exact thing happen. Game 1, the person uses one set that wins. Game 2, they change it up to try and trip their opponent up and they lose with it. And then game 3, they go back to what initially won. And that is really what it's about is just trying to use what works, stick with what you know, and win like that. From the other perspective, the person who went lost in the first game and win in the second, it's a lot of really like staying on your toes. Often the same thing. If you switched up your team in the second game, you may want to go back to that second team in the third, because you know that one doesn't work out. But at the end of your second game, I think it's really important to really like think about if the way that you changed up your team would actually work against the team that won against you in the first round. Yeah, and to kind of think back on it like that. So it's a ton of mind games, a ton of figuring out what your opponent's going to do before they even do it. A ton of focus.
Just when you thought VGC wasn't hard enough,
Honestly,
there's another mind game added to it right there.
Yeah, really. Kevin, if you had actually not won those, I would have been upset that you're representing us at the Players' Cup. So congratulations.
Yay.
Yeah. So that is going to be the end of this part. But now what I want to do is let's move on to a returning segment called the Pokesports Pokemon Spotlight. You may remember it from way back in the day when we first started. We would go through different Pokemon every single week and talk about how they're relevant, and then at the end of the month, we would give out those Pokemon to one very lucky person. Today's spotlight is actually going to be kind of a unique one because we're going to be talking about two Pokemon. We're talking about Whimsicott, who we've already spoken about, and Terrakion. But the really important thing that we want to highlight here is how the two of these work together. Now, it would have been kind of cool if we brought this in the battle, but I don't think we had the foresight. But essentially, the terracotta combo, as people call it. Kevin, tell us why the terracotta combo is important.
So, you have Whimsicott with Beat Up. You lead with it. You can hit your Justified Pokemon, which is the Terrakion, with a Dark move 4 times, thus giving it +4 attack because of Justified. That paired with the incredible speed and incredible attack of a Terrakion, along with the very wide variety of moves that Terrakion can learn, and the 2 really good stabs that it does have, Terrakion becomes very annoying to deal with. And just because added Dynamax factor in this game, it becomes hard to kill too. On top of that, Whimsicott is also immune to things like Rage Powder redirection, so Moongus can't even stop the strategy. Whimsicott also gets access to Tailwind, making Terrakion even that much more of a threat. Some players even opt to Tailwind first turn and then go for Protect on the Terrakion just to keep it safe and then beat up the following turn now that the speed has kicked in. But yeah, they also cover each other's weaknesses very well. Whimsicott's weak to fire, Terrakion's not. Terrakion's weak to grass, Whimsicott's not. So they do have that going for them as well. It's a really nice core there. But yeah, it's popular. If you don't know how to deal with it, you will lose to it. So make sure you keep an eye out for like beat up counters. It's mostly just trying to outspeed and OHKO the Whimsicott or just redirect away the beat up.
Yeah, it was interesting to see at the beginning of Series 5, and we've mentioned this a couple times, that we really expected Whimsicott and Terrakion to be used more, and then it wasn't. And then 2 weeks later it was, because people remembered what it was like, and then people started using it again. I use a kind of variation on this, where I bring a Whimsicott and a Cobalion. I've actually seen a couple of people bring Whimsicott and Virizion as well. Mainly for that same, beat up, Justified combination. All 3 of them have it. But yeah, Whimsicott typically runs Moonblast, Protect, Beat Up, Tailwind. Terrakion usually runs Rock Slide, Close Combat, Iron Head, Protect, all very single target moves. When you Dynamax the Terrakion and turn that Rock Slide into a Max Rock Fall, it can do great things like break sashes. Iron Head's great for increasing your defense. Close Combat's great for increasing your attack even more. So if you've beaten up the Terrakion and brought it up to a +4, now you're bringing it up to a +5. Some people choose to run Earthquake on it so that it can just immediately start sweeping both Pokemon. With its +4, you do have to worry because that also does hurt your Whimsicott as well. But hey, go consider it for your teams, and at the very least, consider ways to get around it. Kevin, what are some good ways to get around it?
Mostly follow me. Grassy Surge Rillaboom is a good way of dealing with Terrakion.
Yeah, definitely follow me.
Anything with fighting types are pretty good, but you just have to make sure you're faster than Terrakion. If you run like Politoed and Kingdra, then you could definitely outspeed and OHKO Terrakion if you Dynamax. Things like that. It's not the end all be all. It's just very scary.
No, the end all be all is Rillaboom and Togekiss. We all know this.
Yeah.
And that is going to be the end of this week's Pokesports podcast. As always, I want to give a major shout out to our patrons. Of course, anybody above the benefactor tier receives a shout out on Patreon, that being Ahmed, Brian, Alex, Carlos, Ceaseless Rose, Dakota, Jordan, Lewis, Neil, Scott, Sheldon, William, Sinov, Chad, Dante, Federico, Joseph, Roixon, and Ryan. Thank you all so much. You can all go and check that out at Pokesports Podcast, or sorry, not Pokesports Podcast, at patreon.com, patreon.com/Pokesports Podcast. You can also check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/Pokesports, or on Twitter at Pokesports Pod. On Instagram at Pokesports Podcast as well. Kevin, where can people find you?
X-Rays Ovation, Twitter and Instagram.
You can find me at Still Just Mike on Twitter and Instagram, or really wherever you find your Still Just Mikes. I'm on a lot of places. Kevin, anything cool coming up this week on the YouTube channel?
We got a video with Moxie Boosted, a best of 3 coming up on Thursday. Keep an eye out there. Also another YouTuber, great guy. And I'm going to reveal my Players Cup team, I believe, on Saturday.
Well, there you go.
So keep an eye out for that too. Also, we have the Pokesports League that will happen. I think deadline is Friday. So if you haven't already signed up, go ahead and do so if you're in Patreon. Along with that, if you're not in Patreon, it's just $2 to sign up. Anyway, hope to see you guys there.
There you go. All right. And with that, everybody, I hope you have a great week. Guys, we will see you in the next Pokesports podcast. Thanks for joining us.